My hands were shaking as I buttoned my sleeve that morning, making sure every inch of damaged skin stayed covered. That day started like any other. I checked my appearance 3 times before entering the office. Full coverage. Nobody could see them. But Damon wasn't just any CEO. He was an alpha. An alpha sensed everything. When I placed his coffee on the desk, his gaze dropped straight to my hand. I tried turning away quickly, but his voice, low, dangerous, commanding, stopped me cold. "Quinn, stop." My heart sank. Damon had never used that tone with me before. He was always professional, cold, distant. But today something burned in his silver-gray eyes. I turned slowly to face him. His sharp gaze locked onto my wrist, where the sleeve had ridden up just slightly. A bruise, yellow-blue, fresh. "What is that?" His voice cut through the air like ice. I forced a smile. "Nothing, sir. I fell in the bathroom." "Don't lie to me." His jaw tightened, muscles twitching beneath his skin. "Who put their hands on you, Quinn?" My breath caught. Damon never asked personal questions. But today he stood from his chair and closed the distance between us. So close that his alpha scent, wood smoke mixed with danger, surrounded me completely. My omega instinct screamed at me to step back, but I couldn't move. His presence pinned me in place. He took my wrist in his hand, gentle but firm. A current ran through me at his touch, shooting straight up my spine. Slowly, he rolled up my sleeve. And when the full bruise came into view, purple and blue with distinct finger marks, his entire expression transformed. Fury. Pure, silent, deadly fury. "Who did this?" His voice dropped to a whisper, but the threat was crystal clear. I looked down. "Sir, please. This is my personal matter, and your boyfriend." He completed the sentence, matter of fact. I looked up at him in shock. How did he know? But Damon knew everything. He was a mafia boss, the king of the underworld. Information was his weapon, secrets his currency. I nodded just once, but it was enough for him. Damon released my wrist and stepped back, but the fire in his eyes still blazed, hot enough to burn anyone who came near. "You'll go straight home after work today, and by tomorrow morning, I want his full name, address, and where he works. Everything. Understood?" I stood there frozen. Could I really give him that information? Putting Ryan on Damon Cross's radar was like signing his death warrant. That evening, when I left the office, I knew Damon's car was following me. His black SUV sat in the parking lot, just far enough away to seem casual. Was he protecting me or monitoring me? Probably both. I walked toward my apartment building, each step heavier than the last. When I opened the door, Ryan was there. Angry, a bottle in his hand, eyes bloodshot. "Where the hell have you been?" he growled. "At work, Ryan. You know that." He threw the bottle. It sailed past my head and shattered against the wall, glass exploding everywhere. And that night, he raised his hand again. The slap came hard and fast. I stumbled backward, my shoulder hitting the door frame. Pain radiated through my body. But it wasn't just physical. It was the humiliation, the fear, the complete helplessness that made everything worse. "You think you can ignore my calls?" Ryan's voice cracked with rage and something else. Insecurity, maybe. "Think working for some rich bastard makes you better than me?" I pressed my hand against my stinging cheek. "Ryan, please. I was in meetings. I couldn't answer." "Liar." He grabbed my shirt, pulling me close enough that I could smell the alcohol on his breath. "You're probably sleeping with him, aren't you? That's why you come home late. That's why you don't look at me anymore." "That's not true," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady. "I would never." His grip tightened. "You're mine, Quinn. Mine, and I'll make sure you never forget that." He shoved me backward. I crashed into the coffee table, items scattering across the floor. My phone skidded under the couch. For a moment, I just lay there, feeling the cold tile against my cheek, tasting blood from my split lip. This wasn't the first time. It wouldn't be the last. Unless I found the courage to leave. But leaving Ryan meant being alone. It meant admitting I'd wasted 3 years on someone who saw me as property. It meant facing the world as a single Omega in a city that didn't care about people like me. Ryan stood over me, breathing hard. "Get up. Clean this mess." I pushed myself up slowly, every muscle protesting, as I gathered the broken pieces of what used to be a lamp. I thought about Damon's words. "Who put their hands on you?" The concern in his voice had been real. The anger on my behalf had been genuine. But why would someone like Damon Cross care about someone like me? I was just his secretary. Just another employee in his massive corporation. Just an Omega trying to survive in a world built for alphas and betas. Ryan disappeared into the bedroom, probably to pass out. I finished cleaning, each movement mechanical. My mind was elsewhere, replaying the moment Damon had touched my wrist, the way his eyes had darkened when he saw the bruises, the promise of protection in his voice. Tomorrow, he wanted Ryan's information. What would he do with it? Would he confront Ryan? Would he hurt him? Part of me felt guilty for even considering it. But another part, a part that was tired of being afraid, wanted to see what would happen if someone finally stood up for me. I crawled into bed fully clothed, too exhausted to change. Ryan's snoring echoed from the other room. I stared at the ceiling, watching shadows move across it, and made a decision. Tomorrow, I would tell Damon everything. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I wanted Ryan hurt. But because I was tired. So incredibly tired of pretending everything was fine when I was breaking apart inside. My phone buzzed with a message. I pulled it out, expecting another angry text from Ryan. But it was from Damon. Just 3 words. "Are you safe?" My fingers trembled as I typed back, "Yes." A lie. But what else could I say? His response came immediately. "If you need anything, call me. Anytime." I stared at those words for a long time. When was the last time someone had offered me that kind of safety? When was the last time someone had cared whether I was okay? I saved his number under a different name, just in case. Ryan went through my phone sometimes. Sleep didn't come easy. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Damon's face. The concern. The anger. The promise. And for the first time in 3 years, I let myself hope that maybe, just maybe, things could be different. I hit the floor hard when Ryan shoved me, my cheeks slamming against the tile. A wave of pain crashed through me. "You think you can hide from me?" Ryan's voice cracked, a mixture of alcohol and insecurity. He was a beta, and maybe that was his biggest problem. He could never accept that I was an Omega who worked hard, who had a good job, who didn't need him to survive. To him, I was just a possession that should stay under his control. I tried to protect my face as he raised his hand again, my body automatically curling inward. But this time, the hit never came. The door exploded open. The lock literally shattered. And Damon Cross, perfectly suited, terrifyingly calm, radiating lethal authority, stepped inside like he owned the place. Behind him, Arthur, his loyal bodyguard, stood in the doorway like a sentinel. Ryan saw Damon and stumbled backward. "Who the hell are you?" Damon didn't let him finish. In 1 second, he had Ryan by the collar, slamming him against the wall. Ryan's feet left the ground. Damon's strength made it look effortless, like he was lifting a feather. "You put your hands on him?" It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Damon's voice was so cold the room's temperature seemed to drop. Ryan gasped for air, panic flooding his face. I'm his boyfriend. I have the right. You have no rights." Damon pressed harder, cutting off Ryan's air supply. "And if you ever touch him again, I won't let you walk away alive. Understood? I'll throw you somewhere they'll never find your body." Ryan's face showed pure terror. He nodded desperately, frantically. Damon released him, and Ryan collapsed to the floor, coughing. He crawled toward the door, and Arthur stepped aside with disgust clear in his eyes, letting him escape. I was still on the floor, shocked and numb. My cheek throbbed. My lip was bleeding. Damon turned to look at me, and for the first time, his eyes held pure softness. concern, care. He came closer, bending down to my level. Quinn. His voice was completely different now, gentle, protective. Come with me. To my place. Where you'll be safe. He extended his hand. I looked into his gray eyes. Confusion, fear, and something else. Hope. All mixed together inside me. He held out his hand again, waiting patiently. I hesitantly took it. His grip was warm, solid. He helped me up carefully, one hand on my waist for support. Arthur, seal this apartment. Nobody gets in. Yes, sir. Arthur nodded. Damon guided me to his car. Sitting in his black Mercedes, when he turned on the AC and started driving quietly, I finally realized I was actually safe. For the first time in a very long time, I breathed. His scent no longer felt threatening. It felt like protection, like belonging. When we entered his penthouse, sleek, modern, and surprisingly warm, he sat me on the couch and pulled out a first aid kit. I watched in amazement as he personally started cleaning my wounds. Every touch was gentle, careful, like I was something precious that might break. Damon. I said his name for the first time without calling him sir. It came out naturally, intimately. He paused with the cotton swab and looked at me, waiting. Why did you do this? I mean, you barely know me, and... His jaw tightened. He set the first aid kit aside and looked directly into my eyes. Because, Quinn, you're mine. Whether you know it or not. My breath stopped. The words hung in the air between us. Heavy with meaning I wasn't sure I understood. My heart raced so fast I could hear it pounding in my ears. Damon's gray eyes held mine, and I couldn't look away, even if I wanted to. I don't understand, I whispered. I'm just your secretary. You stopped being just anything the moment you walked into my office 6 months ago. His voice was rough, raw with emotion I'd never heard from him before. Do you know how hard it's been? Watching you force smiles when I know you're hurting. Seeing you flinch when someone raises their voice. Smelling the fear mixed with your scent every single day. I shook my head slowly. You noticed all that? I noticed everything about you, Quinn. He moved closer, his presence overwhelming but not frightening. The way you take your coffee. The way you organize files by color because it makes you feel in control. The way you bite your lip when you're nervous. The way you... He stopped himself, jaw clenching. The way you deserve so much better than what you've been getting. Tears burned behind my eyes. Nobody had ever seen me like this. Really seen me. Not as an Omega, not as an employee, but as a person. But I'm weak, I said, the words tumbling out before I could stop them. I let him hurt me. I didn't leave. You survived. Damon's hand cupped my face, thumb brushing away a tear I hadn't realized had fallen. You survived, Quinn. That's not weakness. That's strength. And now, you don't have to survive alone anymore. What are you saying? My voice cracked. I'm saying you're under my protection now. I'm saying Ryan will never touch you again. I'm saying, he paused, something vulnerable flashing in his eyes. I'm saying I should have done this months ago. The intensity of his gaze made me tremble, not from fear, but from something else. Something that felt like hope, like possibility, like maybe my life didn't have to be an endless cycle of pain and fear. You don't owe me this, I whispered. I know. His thumb traced along my jaw, gentle despite the strength in his hands. But I'm giving it to you anyway. We sat in silence for a moment, the only sound our breathing and the distant hum of the city outside. Damon's touch was warm, steady, grounding, everything Ryan's had never been. What happens now? I asked. Now you rest. You heal. And tomorrow, we figure out the rest. He stood, offering his hand again. The guest room is ready. Everything you need is there. I'll let him help me up, my legs shaky. He guided me down a hallway to a beautifully appointed room with soft gray sheets and floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city lights. Try to sleep, he said softly. You're safe here. I promise. As he turned to leave, I called out, Damon. He stopped, looking back. Thank you. His expression softened. Always, Quinn. Always. When the door closed behind him, I sat on the edge of the bed, processing everything that had happened. My life had changed completely in the span of a few hours. Ryan was gone. I was in Damon Cross's penthouse, and the most powerful alpha in the city had just told me I was his. What did that mean? What would tomorrow bring? I lay down, expecting sleep to elude me like it had for months. But surrounded by Damon's scent, feeling truly safe for the first time in years, I drifted off almost immediately. I held my breath as Damon spoke those words. Because you're mine. What did he mean by that? I was his secretary. Nothing more. But the intensity in his eyes, the alpha pheromones thickening the air around us, told a different story. Something dangerous, something possessive, something that awakened instincts in me I'd been suppressing for years. I'm not yours, I said hesitantly. But my voice was so weak it didn't even sound like a protest, more like a question. Damon closed the first aid kit and positioned himself directly in front of me, knees bent, elbows resting on them, face level with mine. His gray eyes bored into my hazel ones. You are Quinn. Maybe you don't realize it yet, but I've known since the first day. My heartbeat accelerated, so loud I could hear it in my ears. This isn't right. You barely know me, and I've been watching you for 6 months. His voice was low and rough, like a confession he'd been holding back. Every forced smile, every calculated movement, like you're constantly trying to avoid someone's anger. Even your scent, lavender and vanilla, always carries a trace of fear. And when he put his hands on you, his fist clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. That's when I decided nobody will ever hurt you again. Never. I lowered my eyes. This was overwhelming. Damon had been observing me this closely for this long. How should I react? But I'm an Omega, I whispered, reminding myself as much as him. You know what society will say? Your business partners. Your enemies. Everything. I don't fear society. He lifted my chin gently, making me face him, his thumb moving carefully near my cut lip. And you shouldn't either. You're under my protection now. Nobody will hurt you. I swear it. That night, I slept in his guest room, surprisingly cozy with soft gray sheets and windows revealing city lights. But sleep wouldn't come. Damon's words kept repeating in my mind, because you're mine. Was I really his? Or was this just his alpha instinct trying to protect a hurt Omega? A temporary arrangement? Fear crept in too. What about Ryan? Would he come back? And Damon? How long would he keep me here? Until I healed? Then what? The next morning, when I woke up, sunlight streamed into the room, and the smell of coffee drifted from outside. I slowly emerged from the guest room. Damon was already at the dining table, dressed in a suit, hair perfectly styled, though his jacket was still off. He was looking at something on his tablet, in full professional mode. When he saw me, his expression immediately softened. He set the tablet aside and stood. Good morning. How are you feeling? Better, I said, and it was true. The pain was still there, but the emotional burden felt lighter. Breakfast is ready. You should eat. He gestured toward the table, where pancakes, eggs, and juice were professionally arranged. I sat down hesitantly. Damon, will I go to the office? I mean, people will ask questions about why I'm here. We'll go to the office together, he said calmly, lifting his coffee cup. And I'll make it publicly clear that you're under my protection. People can think whatever they want. But your reputation, he gave a slight smirk. My reputation is already questionable, Quinn. I'm a Mafia boss. People fear me. And now they'll also know that anyone who belongs to me is untouchable. His words carried authority, finality. There was no room for argument. We ate breakfast together. For the first time, I shared such a normal, peaceful moment with him. Damon occasionally checked on me, making sure I was comfortable, that I liked everything. When we were about to leave for the office, Damon handed me a bag. Your clothes. Arthur picked them up from your apartment last night. I opened the bag, My office clothes, carefully folded. But as we sat in the car and headed toward the office, my phone buzzed. A message from Ryan. Don't think this is over, Quinn. I'll get you back. That alpha can't save you. My hand trembled. Damon noticed. He took the phone from my grip and read the message. His expression turned deadly. This isn't finished, he said quietly. It's only just beginning. And I knew Ryan wasn't going to give up. He would do something. Something dangerous. Damon's hand found mine across the center console. His touch was firm, grounding. Listen to me carefully, Quinn. Ryan can send all the threats he wants. He can't touch you. Not while I'm breathing. You don't know him like I do, I said, my voice shaking. He's unpredictable when he's desperate. He'll do nothing. Damon's tone left no room for doubt. I have people watching him. Every move he makes, I'll know about it. And if he tries anything. He didn't finish this sentence, but the implication was clear. We pulled into the office parking garage. Through the tinted windows, I could see employees arriving, starting their day, completely unaware that my entire world had shifted overnight. Are you ready for this? Damon asked, still holding my hand. For what? For people to know? For questions? For judgment? His eyes searched mine. Because once we walk in there together, there's no going back. Everyone will know you're under my protection. They'll make assumptions. Let them, I said, surprising myself with the conviction in my voice. I'm tired of hiding. Something flickered in Damon's eyes. Pride, maybe, or satisfaction. He brought my hand to his lips and pressed a kiss to my knuckles. The gesture was so unexpected, so intimate, that my breath caught. Then let's show them, he said. We walked into the building side by side. Heads turned immediately. Whispers started like wildfire. I could feel dozens of eyes on us. Could practically hear the speculation beginning. Damon's hand found the small of my back, a subtle but unmistakable gesture of possession. He guided me to the executive elevator, and we rode up in silence, while I felt my heart trying to beat out of my chest. When we reached his floor, his secretary, Jennifer, a sharp-eyed beta, looked up, and her eyes widened slightly. Mr. Cross, I have your morning schedule. Cancel everything until noon, Damon said without breaking stride. And hold all my calls. Yes, sir. Jennifer's gaze slid to me, curiosity and calculation warring in her expression. Inside his office, Damon finally released me. I walked to the window, looking out over the city, trying to process everything. You're thinking too much, Damon said from behind me. How can I not? Yesterday, I trailed off, not wanting to finish that sentence. Yesterday, you were trapped. Today you're free. He stepped closer, his presence warm at my back. The question is, what are you going to do with that freedom? I turned to face him. We were close enough that I could see the flecks of silver in his gray eyes, could smell his scent mixing with mine. I don't know, I admitted. I don't even know who I am without being afraid anymore. Then we'll figure it out together. His hand cupped my cheek, thumb stroking gently. You don't have to have all the answers right now, Quinn. You just have to trust that I'll keep you safe while you find them. Why? The question burst out of me. Why do you care so much? You could have any Omega you wanted. Why me? Damon was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw with honesty. Because you walked into my office 6 months ago, and for the first time in my life, I felt something other than ambition. You made me want to protect instead of destroy. You made me want to build something instead of just taking it. Tears prick my eyes. I'm broken, Damon. You're perfect. He interrupted. Every scar, every fear, every moment of survival. It all makes you who you are. And who you are is someone worth protecting. The emotions were too much. I buried my face in his chest, and his arms came around me immediately, strong and sure. For the first time in years, I let myself cry. Really cry. And Damon just held me through it all. Walking into the office together felt like stepping into a spotlight I wasn't ready for. Every head turned as Damon and I entered the building. Same car, same time. The faint bruises on my face were still visible despite my attempts with concealer. Whispers erupted immediately, curious glances mixed with shocked expressions. But Damon didn't acknowledge any of it. He walked beside me with a possessive closeness that made his intentions crystal clear. When we reached his private office, he closed the door and guided me to a chair near his desk. "You'll stay here today, where I can see you." "But my own desk." "That desk isn't safe anymore." His tone was firm, leaving no room for discussion. "Ryan knows exactly where you sit. He can't reach you here." I didn't argue. The truth was, being near Damon felt reassuring, safe in a way I hadn't experienced in years. The morning passed relatively smoothly. Damon attended his meetings, occasionally glancing over to check on me, while I quietly organized files in his office. The routine felt almost normal, almost peaceful. But then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered hesitantly. "Hello, Quinn." Ryan's voice came through, soft and manipulative, using that tone that used to work on me. "Baby, please listen. I made a mistake. I had too much to drink. You know I love you, right? Just come back. We can fix everything." My jaw clenched. "No, Ryan. We're done. Permanently." "What?" He gave a fake gasp of shock. "You think that rich alpha loves you? Wake up, Quinn. He's just using you. You're an omega. You're nothing but a temporary plaything to him. When he gets bored, he'll throw you away like." "Stop talking." For the first time, real strength filled my voice. "Whatever you say doesn't matter to me anymore. I'm never coming back to you." "Think carefully, Quinn." Ryan's tone shifted, becoming threatening. "If you don't come back willingly, I'll do whatever it takes to get you back." "Whatever it takes." I ended the call. My hands were shaking, from anger, from fear, maybe from both. Damon noticed immediately. He abandoned his meeting and came to my side. He took the phone from my trembling grip and checked the call history. His expression became deadly calm, the kind of calm that was far more dangerous than any outburst. "Trace this number. Now." He called to Arthur, who was waiting just outside the office. Then he cupped my face in his hands, firm yet gentle, protective. "Quinn, look at me." I reluctantly met his gray eyes. The intensity there made me tremble, but not from fear. "Everything he said is a lie. Complete fabrication. I'm not using you. I'm protecting you because," he paused, choosing his words carefully, "because you matter to me more than you realize. And if you'll let me, I'll prove it to you." My breath caught. "Prove what?" "That you're not just an omega to me. You're everything." Tears filled my eyes. Nobody had ever seen me this way before. Never appreciated me. I'd always been a burden, or weak, or unwanted. Ryan had only seen me as his property. But Damon, he saw me as a person. He gave me respect. Value. He pressed his forehead against mine, the closeness intimate and grounding. "Give me time, Quinn. I'll show you what I'm capable of." In that moment, I made a decision. Maybe it was risky. Maybe I could get hurt. But being with Damon, this was the first time I felt genuinely safe and wanted. "Okay," I whispered, barely audible. Something shifted in Damon's eyes. Relief, possession, protectiveness, all of it together. But outside the office, Arthur's phone rang. "Urgent." Damon answered and put it on speaker. "What happened?" "Sir, Ryan just filed a police complaint. You're being charged with assault, kidnapping, and the illegal detention of Quinn." My heart dropped. Ryan did this. But it was completely false. Damon's expression didn't change. Completely calm. "Arthur, call a lawyer. And pull Ryan's phone records from the last week." "Already on it, sir." Damon ended the call and turned to me. "Go home, Quinn. Arthur will drop you safely at the penthouse." "No," I grabbed his arm. "I'm coming with you. These charges are false, and Quinn." Damon's voice was firm but soft. "Trust me. I'll handle this. You shouldn't put yourself at risk. But please." He squeezed my hand. "Listen to me. Go home. Stay safe. I'll be back by evening." Reluctantly, I agreed. Arthur escorted me to the penthouse, protective and alert, but my heart was restless. By evening, news arrived. The police had arrested Damon. He was at the station, and I was going there, no matter what. I found Arthur in the living room, checking his phone for updates. Take me to the station. Now. Arthur hesitated. Sir specifically told me not to. Arthur, please. My voice was desperate, but determined. I can't leave Damon alone. He's there because of me. It's my turn to stand by him. Arthur saw the determination in my eyes and finally nodded. All right, but I'm staying with you. We arrived at the police station. Media was already gathered outside. News reporters, cameras everywhere. Damon Cross's arrest was major news. A mafia king being taken into custody with serious allegations. I took a deep breath and walked inside. The station was chaotic, officers rushing around. And then I saw him. Ryan. He was dressed in a suit, perfectly groomed, and on his face were fake bruises, made with makeup, purple and blue marks that looked convincingly real. He was talking to an officer, playing the victim perfectly. When he saw me, a smirk spread across his lips. He walked toward me, confidence radiating from every step. See, Quinn, he whispered, making sure only I could hear. Your alpha is in jail now, and you'll come back to me, where you belong. I trembled with rage. My fist clenched. You planned all this. Fake bruises, false complaint, obviously. Ryan shrugged casually. Did you think I'd just let you go? You're my property, Quinn, whether you like it or not. And now that your so-called protector is rotting in jail, you'll come back where you belong. Never. I gritted my teeth, keeping my voice steady. I will never go back to you, no matter what happens. Ryan's expression darkened. The old madness returned to his eyes. He suddenly grabbed my wrist, the same wrist where his bruises were still healing. Pain shot through me, but I didn't make a sound. I wasn't weak anymore. I wouldn't hide in fear. Let go of me. My voice was low but threatening. No, Ryan tightened his grip painfully. You're coming with me right now. I'll take you out of here and remove your hand. Immediately, a voice cut through the tension. Cold, deadly, unmistakably familiar. I turned to see Damon standing there. His suit was perfectly intact. No handcuffs, no guards with him. Just him, free. And behind him stood Arthur with his complete team, including a lawyer carrying a briefcase. Ryan instantly released my wrist, stepping back in shock. How you were in jail? The charges. The court doesn't know my connections. Damon said, taking slow, measured steps toward Ryan, like a predator approaching prey. You challenged the wrong person, Ryan. And now you'll pay the price. I watched as Damon gave Arthur a subtle nod. Arthur pulled out Ryan's phone, which he'd already confiscated, and played a video on the screen. It was a recording, Ryan's recording, crystal clear audio and video. In it, Ryan sat with a friend, discussing his plan. I'll create fake bruises. File a complaint. Get that mafia boss arrested, and Quinn will be mine again. His friend had asked, but what if you get caught? Ryan had laughed. I won't get caught. I'm too smart for that. The police officers watched the video. Their expressions changed from shock to anger. A senior officer looked at Ryan. What is this? False complaint? Fabricated evidence? Pure terror flooded Ryan's face. No, this is edited. It's fake. Check the metadata. It's an original recording, Damon's lawyer said calmly. Also, check his phone records. See how many planning calls he made. The officers glared at Ryan. Do you know the consequences of filing a false complaint? Ryan was hyperventilating, close to a panic attack. He looked at me desperately. Quinn, please. Tell them we loved each other. I just wanted you back. Love. Stop. I cut him off, disgust clear in my voice. You don't know the meaning of love. You hit me, controlled me, tortured me. That wasn't love. That was abuse. The officers arrested Ryan, putting handcuffs on him. He struggled, shouting, "This is wrong. I only loved him. He was never yours," Damon said coldly. and now you'll rot in jail. False complaint, assault charges, harassment, everything will be used against you. As they took Ryan away, his last look was directed at me. Hatred and desperation mixed together. But I felt no fear, only relief. When the station finally cleared, Damon approached me quietly. Concern filled his eyes. "Are you all right?" I nodded. "Yes, but how did you manage all this so quickly?" Arthur arranged everything. When Ryan filed the complaint, we immediately hacked his phone, retrieved recordings, collected evidence. I knew he wouldn't give up easily. "So you deliberately let yourself get arrested?" I was shocked. "To expose him completely." Damon nodded. "If I'd shown the evidence immediately, he would have made another plan. But now he's finished." I understood. Damon had taken a calculated risk. Everything had been under his control. He gently took my hand. "Let's go home." "Home." I repeated the word. "My home." "Your home." "My home. Where you're safe." In that moment, I realized Damon hadn't just saved me from Ryan. He'd given me a new beginning. A new life. We walked out of the station. Media cameras flashed. Questions were shouted. But Damon ignored them all, keeping me protectively close. Sitting in the car as we drove toward the penthouse, I finally breathed easier. Ryan was gone. Permanently. But now the real question remained. What were Damon and I? And what would happen next? The drive was quiet, comfortable. Damon's hand found mine across the seat, his thumb tracing gentle circles on my skin. It was such a simple gesture, but it made my heart race. "You didn't have to come to the station," he said softly. "It was dangerous. I couldn't leave you there alone." My voice was firm. "Not after everything you've done for me." His eyes met mine briefly before returning to the road. "You're braver than you think, Quinn. I learned from watching you," I admitted. A small smile touched his lips, rare and genuine. "Then I'm a good teacher." When we arrived at the penthouse, the tension of the day finally began to lift. Damon led me inside, and for the first time, I truly looked around. This wasn't just a place to stay temporarily. This felt like it could be home. "Are you hungry?" Damon asked, shrugging off his jacket. I realized I hadn't eaten since breakfast. "A little. I'll order something." He pulled out his phone, but I stopped him. "Can we cook together instead?" The words came out before I could second-guess them. "I mean, if you want to. I just thought it might be nice to do something normal." Damon looked surprised and pleased. "I'd like that." We moved to the kitchen, and I discovered Damon was actually decent at cooking. We worked side by side, making pasta from scratch. He chopped vegetables while I handled the sauce. It was domestic and intimate in a way that made my chest tight with emotion. "You're good at this," I commented, watching him dice tomatoes with practiced precision. "I lived alone for a long time before I could afford staff," he said. "Had to learn. Or starve. I didn't know that about you. There's a lot you don't know about me yet." He glanced at me, something vulnerable in his expression. "But I want you to know everything. If you'll stay long enough to learn." My hand stilled on the wooden spoon. "How long do you want me to stay?" Damon set down his knife and turned to face me fully. "How does forever sound?" The word hung in the air between us, heavy with promise. My heart hammered against my ribs. "You don't have to answer now," he interrupted gently. "I just need you to know that this isn't temporary. For me, you're not temporary." Tears pricked my eyes again. How did he keep doing this? Keep saying exactly what I needed to hear? We finished cooking in comfortable silence, the only sounds being the sizzle of the pan and our synchronized movements. When we sat down to eat, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. "This is really good," Damon said after his first bite. "You did most of the work. We did it together." He emphasized the word together in a way that made it mean more than just cooking. After dinner, we cleaned up side by side, Damon washing while I dried. And it struck me how different this was from my life with Ryan. No tension, no walking on eggshells, no fear of saying the wrong thing. "What are you thinking?" Damon asked, noticing my silence. "That I've never felt this peaceful before," I admitted. Even doing something as simple as washing dishes. His hands stilled in the soapy water. You deserve peace, Quinn. You deserve so much more than what you've had. I'm starting to believe that, I said quietly. Because of you. Damon dried his hands and pulled me close, his arms wrapping around me securely. I rested my head against his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. The media will have a field day tomorrow, he murmured against my hair. Ryan's arrest, our connection, it'll be everywhere. Does that bother you? Not even a little. He pulled back to look at me. Let them talk. Let them speculate. I don't care what anyone thinks, as long as you're safe and happy. What about your business? Your reputation? My reputation has survived worse than this. He traced my jawline with his finger. Besides, anyone who has a problem with you being in my life can take it up with me directly. The protective edge in his voice made me shiver. Not from fear, but from the knowledge that someone finally had my back. Someone finally chose me. I need to tell you something, I said, gathering courage. About why I stayed with Ryan for so long. Damon's expression softened. You don't have to explain. I want to. I took a breath. I stayed because I thought I deserved it. Because I thought being in Omega meant accepting whatever treatment I got. Because I was scared of being alone. And now. His voice was gentle, encouraging. Now I realize, being alone is better than being with someone who hurts you. And I realize I'm not actually alone anymore. I'm at his eyes. Am I? No, Quinn. He cupped my face in both hands. You're not alone. Not anymore. Not ever again. If I have anything to say about it. Promise me something, I whispered. Anything. If this ever becomes too much, the attention, the complications, whatever, promise you'll tell me. I don't want to be a burden. Quinn, look at me. He waited until I met his eyes. You are not, and will never be, a burden. You're the best thing that's happened to me in years. Do you understand? I nodded, not trusting my voice. Good. Now, let's get some rest. Tomorrow, we face whatever comes. Together. As we headed to our separate rooms, Damon still giving me space despite everything. He paused at his door. Quinn. Yes. Thank you for coming to the station today. For standing by me. Even when I told you not to. Always. I said, echoing his earlier promise to me. His smile was warm enough to light up the dim hallway. Good night, Quinn. I lay in bed that night, processing everything that had happened. Ryan was in custody. Damon had protected me at every turn. And somehow, impossibly, I was beginning to believe I might actually deserve this happiness. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for the first time in years, I was ready to face them. Returning to Damon's penthouse after everything felt different. Lighter, freer, like a weight had been lifted from my soul. Ryan was in jail. The case was closed. The evidence was solid, and the charges against him were serious. False complaint, harassment, assault. He wouldn't be getting out anytime soon. But I was still processing it all. Months of fear and control ended in a single day. Yet a new uncertainty had emerged. What were Damon and I now? We sat on the couch in comfortable silence. City lights sparkled outside the floor-to-ceiling windows, and soft music played quietly in the background. Damon took my hand and held it in his palm. His touch was grounding. What's on your mind? He asked softly, his thumb moving gently across my knuckles. I took a long breath. Whether all this is real, whether I deserve any of it, whether I deserve you. Damon turned my face toward him gently, his fingers resting on my jaw. His gray eyes were so intense I could lose myself in them. But this time, there was no fear, only comfort. Quinn, he said my name with such tenderness. You don't just deserve this. You're essential to me. Before you, my life was mechanical, emotionless. Business, power, that was all there was. But you. He paused, emotions raw in his voice. You showed me that protection doesn't come from power alone, but from caring. That attachment isn't weakness, it's strength. Tears filled my eyes, my throat tightening. Quinn, I love you. He finally said it clearly, openly, without hesitation. And I want you to stay with me. Not as my secretary. Not as someone I'm merely protecting. But as my partner. My omega. My everything. I couldn't control it anymore. Tears fell, but these weren't tears of pain. They were tears of relief, happiness, belonging. I love you too, Damon. For the first time, I admitted my feelings without fear, without doubt. And it was so freeing, like a heavy weight lifting from my chest. Something shifted in Damon's eyes, pure emotion, relief, possession, protectiveness, all at once. He kissed me, slow, deep, meaningful. His lips fit perfectly against mine, gentle yet firm. His scent completely surrounded me, and my omega instincts finally settled. Content. Safe. Home. This was it. This was where I belonged. When we pulled back, both breathing hard, our foreheads touched. Damon looked into my eyes. You're safe. Always. I promise. Anyone who tries to hurt you, whoever they are, will answer to me. I know. I smiled, a real, genuine smile. For the first time in so long, an honest smile that came from my heart. Damon pulled me gently into his arms, and I rested against his chest. I could hear his heartbeat, steady, strong, reassuring. We sat like that for a while in silent comfort. The next morning, when I woke up, Damon was already awake. But surprisingly, his laptop was closed. He stood on the balcony, coffee cup in hand, watching the city. When he saw me, he set everything aside and smiled. A rare, genuine smile meant only for me. Good morning. He kissed me. A gentle good morning kiss, full of affection. Good morning. I blushed, still adjusting to this new intimacy between us. You're not going to the office today, Damon announced casually. Why not? Because today is your first day with me properly, as my partner. We're going out like a normal couple. There was excitement in his tone, subtle but present. I was amazed. Damon Cross, who never made his personal life public, who was always private and guarded, was taking me out openly. But what will people say? The media, your business associates. Let them talk, he said confidently, taking my hand. I want to show them you're mine. Officially. And that nobody can touch you. And honestly, he smirked, I don't care about their opinions. And there it was. Our new beginning. We went to lunch at a quiet, elegant restaurant where Damon had booked a private section. He ordered my favorite food without asking, because he already knew. Small details he'd noticed over the past months. How did you know? I asked in wonder. I observe, he said simply. Every smile, every preference. I noticed everything about you, Quinn. My heart flipped. These small things made Damon special. He wasn't just a powerful alpha. He was attentive, caring, and genuine. When we returned to the penthouse, I finally felt free. Free from Ryan's control. Free from society's expectations. Free from my own doubts. Because now I was Damon Cross's, and he was mine. Damon poured us wine, and we sat on the balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The city hummed below us, alive and endless. Do you regret it? I asked suddenly, taking me in, getting involved in my mess. Damon set down his glass and turned to me with complete seriousness. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner. I should have intervened the first time I noticed something was wrong. You couldn't have known. I knew enough. His jaw tightened. I saw the signs. I just didn't want to overstep. But I should have trusted my instincts. You saved me when it mattered most, I said, placing my hand over his. That's what counts. He interlaced our fingers, bringing my hand to his lips. I'll spend every day making sure you never doubt your worth again. You already have, I whispered, as the sun dipped below the horizon. Damon pulled me closer. I have something for you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. My breath caught. It's not what you think, he said with a small smile. Open it. Inside was a simple silver bracelet with a small charm, a compass. So you always find your way home, Damon explained. No matter where you are or what happens, you have a home with me. Tears blurred my vision as he fastened it around my wrist, the same wrist that had borne Ryan's bruises. Now it carried Damon's promise. Thank you, I managed to say through the emotion. Thank you for trusting me, he replied. For giving me a chance to be more than what people think I am. You're so much more, I assured him. You're everything. We stayed on the balcony until the stars came out, talking about everything and nothing. Damon told me about his childhood, the struggles that shaped him, the loneliness that came with power. I shared my dreams, the things I'd given up on, the hopes I was beginning to reclaim. What do you want to do, Quinn? Damon asked. Beyond working for me, I mean. What are your dreams? Nobody had asked me that in years. I used to want to write, I admitted. Stories, maybe. I don't know if I'm any good. Then you're right, Damon said matter-of-factly. You have all the time and support you need. Just like that. Just like that. He kissed my temple. Your happiness is my priority now. Later that night, as we prepared for bed, Damon paused at my door. Can I ask you something? Anything. Will you stay in my room tonight? Just to sleep, he added quickly. I just want you close. My answer was to take his hand and let him lead me to his room. We lay together in the darkness, my head on his chest, his arms around me securely. Safe. Loved. Home. Quinn. Damon's voice was soft and quiet. I meant what I said earlier. About forever. I know. I smiled against his skin. Me too. And as I drifted off to sleep, surrounded by Damon's warmth and scent, I realized this wasn't just the end of my nightmare. It was the beginning of everything I'd ever wanted. Our story was just starting. A new journey. A new life. Together. Waking up in Damon's bed became my new favorite thing. The morning light filtered through the Florida ceiling windows, casting warm gold across the silk sheets. Damon was still asleep beside me, his dark hair tousled, his sharp features softened in a way they never were when he was awake. His arm was wrapped around my waist, holding me close even in unconsciousness. I watched him for a long moment, marveling at how different everything felt. A week ago, I'd been hiding bruises and flinching at sudden movements. Now I was waking up next to the most powerful alpha in the city, wearing his shirt, wrapped in his scent. His eyes opened, slowly at first, then sharpening as they focused on my face. You're staring, he murmured, voice rough with sleep. I'm admiring. Same thing. No, staring is passive. Admiring is active. There's intention behind it. A slow smile spread across his face, the kind that still made my heart skip. You're impossible. And yet you love me. And yet I love you. He pulled me closer, burying his face in my hair. What time is it? Late. You have a meeting at noon. He groaned. Cancel it. I'm your assistant. I'm not supposed to cancel your meetings just because you want to stay in bed with me. Why not? I'm the boss. I laughed, pushing gently at his chest. Up. You have an empire to run. The empire can wait. His arms tightened around me. You can't. My heart swelled. This was still new. This easy affection. This casual intimacy. I wasn't used to being wanted like this. Wasn't used to being someone's priority. Damon, I said softly. I'm not going anywhere. We have time. He was quiet for a moment. Then he lifted his head and looked at me with those silver-gray eyes, softer than I'd ever seen them. I know, he said. That's what scares me. Why? Because I've never had anything worth losing before. The vulnerability in his voice cracked something open in my chest. I reached up and traced the line of his jaw. You're not going to lose me, I said. I promise. He kissed me then, slow and deep, full of promise. And when he finally pulled back, his expression had shifted back to the composed, controlled alpha the world knew. All right, he said, throwing off the covers. Let me shower. Then we faced the wolves together. The wolves. The media. The board. Everyone who's been waiting to see me fall. He paused at the bathroom door, looking back at me. They won't know what hit them. The first few weeks were chaos. The news of Ryan's arrest had spread like wildfire. The headlines were brutal. Mafia boss's secret Omega lover, kidnapping or rescue. The truth behind Damon Cross's arrest. Who is Quinn Ellis? The man who brought down a king. I stopped reading the comments after the first day. They were a mix of sympathy, speculation, and outright cruelty. Some people called me brave. Others called me a gold digger. A few said I'd gotten what I deserved. Damon's security team monitored everything, flagging threats, and tracking anyone who posted my address or personal information. Arthur became a permanent presence in my life, always nearby, always watchful. You'll get used to it, Damon said one evening, watching me stare out the window at the city below. Will I? Eventually. He came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. The novelty will wear off. They'll find someone else to tear apart. They always do. And until then, you stay close to me. You let my people protect you. And you don't read the comments. I leaned back against him. You're very bossy. I'm very protective. There's a difference. I smiled despite myself. You keep saying that. Because it keeps being true. The board meeting was the first real test. Damon had been summoned to present his side of the story, to explain why his arrest hadn't destabilized the company, why his relationship with his assistant wasn't a conflict of interest, why the board should continue to trust him. I wasn't invited, of course. But I waited in his office, pacing, while Arthur stood by the door. He'll be fine, Arthur said. You don't know that. I've known him for 12 years. He survived worse than a few angry board members. Like what? Arthur's expression flickered, something dark passing behind his eyes. Like watching his father get gunned down in front of him when he was 22. Like taking over a crime family at 23 when everyone wanted him dead. Like building an empire from blood and ash. He looked at me. Trust me, Quinn. He can handle a board meeting. I wanted to believe him. But my heart didn't settle until the door opened and Damon walked in. Tie loosened. Expression unreadable. Well, I asked. They've agreed to a public statement supporting me. No vote of no confidence. No calls for my resignation. He crossed the room and pulled me into his arms. It's done. Relief flooded through me. They believed you. They believe the evidence. And they're afraid of what I'll do if they cross me. He kissed my forehead. Fear is a powerful motivator. That's not reassuring. It's not supposed to be. He pulled back, looking at me. This is my world, Quinn. It's ugly and dangerous and full of people who would sell their own mothers for advantage. But it's also the world where I can protect you. Where no one can touch you without answering to me. I'm not afraid of your world. You should be. Maybe. I reached up and touched his face. But I'm more afraid of living without you in it. Something shifted in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or wonder. Then he kissed me, and I forgot about board meetings and headlines and all the people who wanted to tear us apart. A month after Ryan's arrest, I received a letter. It was waiting for me when I returned to the penthouse. A plain white envelope with my name written in handwriting I knew too well. My hands trembled as I opened it. Quinn, I know you won't believe me, but I'm sorry. Not for what they say I did, for losing control. I loved you. I still love you. I just couldn't stand the thought of you with someone else. I'm getting help. Therapy. Anger management. The lawyer says it might help my case, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I don't want to be the person who hurt you. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for another chance. I just wanted you to know that I see it now, what I did to you. And I'm sorry, Ryan. I read the letter twice. Then a third time. And then I set it down on the coffee table and stared at it. What's that? Damon's voice came from behind me. He'd come in without my noticing. A letter. From Ryan. His expression hardened. What does it say? That he's sorry. That he's getting help. I looked up at him. I don't know what to feel. Damon sat beside me, taking my hand. You don't have to feel anything. Not yet. Not until you're ready. Do you think he means it? I think people can change. But I also think that doesn't mean you have to forgive them. He squeezed my hand. What he did to you wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Every time he raised his hand, every time he made you feel small, those were choices. And choices have consequences. What kind of consequences? He's in jail. He'll stay there for a while. And when he gets out, he'll have a record that follows him for the rest of his life. Damon's voice was flat, matter of fact. That's justice. Not revenge. Justice. I nodded slowly. I don't want revenge. I know. That's one of the things I love about you. I looked at him. At this impossible, complicated, wonderful alpha who had seen me at my worst, and said anyway, what do I do with the letter? Whatever you want. Keep it. Burn it. Right back. It's your choice. I thought about it. About Ryan's hands on me, his voice in my ear, the way he'd made me feel like I deserved the pain. Then I thought about Damon's hands, gentle, protective, healing. About the way he looked at me like I was something precious. I'm going to burn it, I said. Damon nodded. I'll get the lighter. We stood on the balcony that night, watching the flames consume Ryan's words. The paper curled and blackened, turning to ash that scattered in the wind. Does it feel different? Damon asked. A little. I watched the last ember fade. Lighter. Good. He wrapped his arm around my shoulders. That's how it should be. We stayed on the balcony long after the ash had disappeared, watching the stars emerge one by one. The city hummed below us, alive and indifferent. But up here, in this moment, I felt like the center of the universe. Damon, thank you for giving me a reason to believe in happy endings. He turned to face me, his silver eyes soft. This isn't an ending, Quinn. It's a beginning. He kissed me, and I let myself fall into him. Into us, into whatever came next. We had our first real fight 3 months into the relationship. It was stupid, in retrospect, a miscommunication about a dinner reservation, a missed call, the accumulated stress of balancing his world with my healing. I'd been waiting for him at the restaurant for an hour, my phone dying, my anxiety spiraling. When he finally arrived, looking harried and apologetic, I was already wound tight. You could have called, I said, my voice sharper than I intended. I was in a meeting that ran long. My phone died. You have a dozen people who could have sent a message. Arthur could have. I know. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm sorry, Quinn. I should have handled it better. You always say that. You're always sorry. But nothing changes. The words hung in the air between us, heavier than I intended. Damon's expression shifted. Surprise, then something darker. What do you mean, nothing changes? I stopped, took a breath. I've been waiting my whole life for someone to show up. And when you do, you're always late. Always distracted. Always pulled in a dozen directions. I'm running an empire, Quinn. I can't just drop everything because of me? I stood up, grabbing my purse. I know. I'm not asking you to drop everything. I'm asking you to remember that I exist. That I matter. That I'm not just another item on your to-do list. I walked out before he could respond. The cold night air hit my face, and I realized I was shaking, not from the cold, but from the fear that I'd just ruined the best thing that had ever happened to me. I made it half a block before his hand caught my arm. Quinn, wait. I stopped, didn't turn around. You're right. His voice was quiet, rough. You're not an item on a list. You're not a responsibility. You're the reason I want to be better. The reason I'm trying. I turned to face him. In the dim street light, his eyes were dark with emotion. I've spent my whole life alone, Quinn. I don't know how to do this. How to be with someone. How to put someone else first. But I'm learning. And I'm sorry it's taking so long. I'm scared, I admitted. I'm scared that one day you'll realize I'm not worth the trouble. That I'm too broken, too needy, too. Stop. He pulled me into his arms, holding me tight. You're not broken. You're not needy. You're the strongest person I know. And I'm not going anywhere. I buried my face in his chest. breathing in his scent. Promise. Promise. He kissed the top of my head. Now let's go home. I'll order dinner. We could eat on the couch and watch something mindless. I'd like that. We walked back to the car hand in hand, and I realized this was what real love looked like. Not perfection, not fairy tales, just two imperfect people choosing each other, even when it was hard. 1 year after that first night in his penthouse, Damon took me back to the restaurant where we'd had our first date, the quiet, elegant place with the private section and the perfect wine. He'd changed since that night. So had I. The bruises were long gone, replaced by a confidence I hadn't known I was capable of. I'd started writing again, short stories at first, then a novel that was taking shape in ways that surprised me. Damon read every draft, his feedback thoughtful and kind. "You're staring again," he said, catching me watching him across the table. "I'm admiring." Same thing. No, staring is passive. Admiring is active. There's intention behind it. He laughed, that rare, genuine laugh that still made my heart skip. "You're impossible. And yet you love me. And yet I love you." He reached across the table and took my hand. "Happy anniversary, Quinn. Happy anniversary." He pulled a small box from his jacket pocket, not the velvet box I'd half feared, but something smaller, simpler. "It's not a ring," he said. "Not yet. But it's a promise." He opened the box. Inside was a key, simple, silver, gleaming. "To the penthouse," he said. "I want you to move in. Officially. Not as a guest. Not as someone I'm protecting. As my partner. My home." My throat tightened. "Damon, you don't have to answer now, but I want you to know that this is real for me. You're real for me. And I want to build something with you. Something permanent." I took the key, my fingers brushing his. "Yes. Yes. Yes, I'll move in. Yes, I want to build something permanent with you. Yes to all of it." His smile was blinding. He stood, pulled me to my feet, and kissed me right there in the middle of the restaurant. Not caring who was watching, not caring about the whispers or the stares. And when we finally broke apart, I was laughing through tears. "What?" he asked. "Nothing. Everything." I touched his face. "I just never thought I'd get to have this. You deserve this, Quinn. You deserve everything." We stayed at the restaurant until it closed, talking about the future, about the house we might buy someday, the family we might build, the life we were creating together. It wasn't a fairy tale. It was better. It was real. The wedding was small, just close friends and family. Damon's mother flew in from Italy, meeting me for the first time with tears in her eyes and a gold necklace that had been in her family for generations. "You make him happy," she said, clasping it around my neck. That's all I ever wanted for him. Arthur was Damon's best man. Jennifer, my former co-worker, was mine. The ceremony was held in the garden of the penthouse, the same place where I'd first felt safe, where I'd first let myself believe I could be loved. When Damon said his vows, his voice cracked. "I didn't know what I was missing until I met you, Quinn. I thought power was enough. Money was enough. Being feared was enough. But you showed me that none of it matters if you have no one to share it with." He took my hands. "You're not just my partner. You're my home, my reason, my everything. And I promise to spend the rest of my life making sure you never doubt that." I was crying. Of course I was crying. "Damon, before you, I didn't believe in happy endings. I thought love was something that happened to other people, something I wasn't good enough for." I squeezed his hands. "But you showed me that I was wrong, that I deserved to be loved, that I deserved to be happy." I took a breath. "I promised to stand by you, to fight for you, to remind you every day that you're more than your empire, more than your reputation, more than the darkness you carry. I promise to be your partner, your confidant, your home." The officiant pronounced us married. And when Damon kissed me, in front of everyone, in the garden where our story had truly begun, I felt something I'd never felt before. Complete. We danced until midnight, ate cake that cost more than my first car, and laughed until our faces hurt. Arthur gave a speech that made everyone cry. Damon's mother taught me how to make pasta from scratch. And when the guests finally left, when the garden was quiet and the city sparkled below us, Damon pulled me close. "Happy?" he asked. "Happy," I said. "Happier than I ever thought I could be." "Good." He kissed my forehead. "Because this is just the beginning." I looked out at the city, at the lights, the life, the endless possibilities. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of what the future might bring. Because I had him. I had us. And that was enough.